I know that this time they're going to focus on making the questions very specific, so hopefully you guard against that and it doesn't happen again.
Jury selection is ongoing in the retrial of former Clear Creek County Deputy Andrew Buen for shooting and killing Christian Glass. Last April, a jury deadlocked over a second-degree murder charge. As we wait for the second trial to begin, we are joined by our 9 News legal analyst, Whitney Traylor, on this selection process. We know the jury selection itself has taken 5 days.
Yes.
It took a long time the last time, to be fair, but what's different? What are they going to do this time?
Well, that's a good question. I think the jury questionnaire is going to be different, as the mother, Ms. Glass, just mentioned. They're going to be more specific because it sounds like from the first trial, we heard from the jury foreperson who came back and said, look, there were 11 of us ready to convict, and this one person said, police can do no wrong. It was reasonably objective. We might as well hang this jury. I'm not going to come back. So I think what they're trying to do now is to try and prevent that but they already went through, if anybody sat on a jury, there's a fairly extensive voir dire process, which they did in the first trial.
Yeah. The foreperson and so many others were so upset last time.
Yes.
That was it was fascinating and traumatizing, really.
Yeah. So is this second trial strictly about the jury? It seems like the case was the case, and while it may change some, it seems like this is strictly about trying to get a jury that they think will go 12 for 12.
Well, yes, it is about that for sure, but you still have the burden of proof. The prosecution still has to prove it beyond a reasonable doubt. We've all seen the video. That evidence is very damaging, so it may be a little bit, I think the prosecution has an easier case in this situation. But yeah, here they're trying to get an objective jury. And the question is not necessarily can you be unbiased, because everybody's going to come in with their proclivities, but the question is, can you just wait for the evidence? Can you make your decision based on the evidence that was presented? And you have 11 people beating on the table saying this was unequivocal, and this one person who said, I'll never charge an officer. So was that jury misconduct? Maybe. I don't think that juror was charged. I didn't find anything related to that, but there's certainly statutes and case law that cover what a jury can and can't do.
Smaller community, famous
Very
case.
small.
Yeah.
Is that where you would oftentimes see a change of venue necessary or requested anyway?
Yeah, that's the question. Well, we're not going to be able to get an unbiased jury because everybody knows about this case. But I think the counter argument is, well, most people in the state probably knew about it. If anybody was going to move for a change of venue, it would be the defense, and they didn't. And so in the first trial, they sent out 1,500 summonses, which is 1 in 6 people in Clear Creek County. This time they sent out 1,800, which means that's 21% of Clear Creek County. So it is a small community. They didn't move to change the venue, but you can still have I fundamentally believe in the jury process, and I think the system works. In this case, some would argue, well, it didn't work, but we're now having the retrial. So the argument is, yeah, it may take longer. The wheels of justice sometimes turn slowly, but the retrial is where you're kind of overcoming this issue.
So we know Sally Glass will testify again, but both sides, like we were talking about, both sides have already shown their hand, so to speak.
I think so.
So who benefits then?
Well, it's a good question. I think maybe the defense in some regard, because they already knew what they had to deal with, which is, I think, the video evidence. But in the first trial, Andrew Buen didn't testify. Will that change? I don't know how, and I'm sure they did focus groups and they had him testify and see how he appeared, but it's going to be hard to be sympathetic in this when you look at Christian Glass I watched the video and within 3 minutes they had the guns out. It was completely unnecessary based on the video. So it's going to be hard to look empathetic from that perspective, but that could be something we see this time.
Body camera video, and there was a lot of it in this case, has become the star witness in so many trials.
Yes.
And really affects things. We shall see what happens. We're expecting to hear opening statements on Friday. Of course, we'll follow the second trial of Officer Andrew Buen and the death of Christian Glass as it unfolds. Whitney Traylor, thanks as always. Be right back.